Night after night, Festus Morgan mopped the empty corridors of Harrington and Associates, a nameless janitor barely noticed by the powerful attorneys who worked there. The single father had taken the grueling night shift out of desperation until he stumbled upon whispered conversations and deliberately discarded evidence that revealed a shocking conspiracy. When the firm's notoriously cold senior partner discovered what he had done, everything changed forever. The hallways of Harrington and Associates always felt different at night. Empty desks where lawyers made million-dollar decisions during the day now stood silent, illuminated only by the dim glow of security lights. This was Festus Morgan's world now, the midnight to dawn shift where he pushed his mop across marble floors that cost more than what he earned in a month. 6 months ago, Festus never imagined he'd be here. He had been a man with plans, dreams, and a loving family, but life had other ideas. The medical bills came first, then the funeral expenses, and finally the realization that he was now the only parent his teenage daughter had left. His hands, once used to sign business proposals, now showed the early signs of calluses from the industrial cleaning supplies he used each night. But pride had no place in survival. His daughter Amara needed stability, a home, food, and the chance to finish school without worrying about adult problems. So night after night, Festus donned his gray uniform and disappeared into the world of the invisible. The lawyers at Harrington and Associates barely registered his existence. They walked past him as if he were part of the furniture, conversations continuing without pause or acknowledgement. All except one, Katherine Harrington, the firm's senior partner and notorious ice queen. Katherine was feared throughout the building. Junior associates scrambled out of her path, administrative staff triple-checked their work, and even other partners seemed to hold their breath when she entered a room. Her reputation for ruthless perfectionism was legendary, but Festus noticed something else beneath her stern exterior, an exhaustion that seemed bone deep. During his 3rd month on the job, Festus established a rhythm. He knew exactly which attorney worked the latest, which one left the most mess, and which offices required extra attention. One Tuesday night, while buffing the floors outside the main conference room, Festus caught fragments of a hushed conversation that made him pause. 2 junior partners, men in expensive suits who never bothered to learn his name, were huddled near the water cooler, voices low but unmistakably smug. The taller one leaned in closer to his colleague, mentioning something about making sure certain documents disappeared before the hearing. They snickered about Katherine finally getting what she deserved after years of making everyone else miserable. When they noticed Festus nearby, they abruptly changed the subject and walked away, not even considering that the janitor might understand the implications of what they'd said. The following night brought something unusual. The lights in Katherine's corner office remained on well past midnight. Through the glass walls, Festus could see her frantically searching through files and cabinets, her typically immaculate appearance showing signs of stress. Festus continued his rounds, giving her privacy, but as he passed her office again an hour later, he glimpsed something that stopped him in his tracks. The formidable Katherine Harrington sat at her desk with her face buried in her hands, shoulders shaking in what appeared to be silent tears. She looked up quickly, composing herself with practiced efficiency when she sensed his presence. Their eyes met briefly before Festus respectfully moved on, pretending he hadn't seen a thing. That same night, while emptying recycling bins from the junior partners' offices, Festus discovered something strange. Buried beneath coffee-soaked papers and food wrappers was an unusual stack of documents, detailed evidence for what appeared to be a major pharmaceutical negligence case. The name Harrington was clearly visible on several pages, along with notations about trial dates fast approaching. This wasn't ordinary trash. These were critical legal documents deliberately hidden beneath waste, clearly meant for disposal. Festus felt a chill run down his spine as the hushed conversation from earlier connected with what he now held in his hands. For 3 sleepless days, Festus debated what to do. Getting involved in office politics could cost him his desperately needed job. He was a night janitor, invisible and replaceable. What business did he have interfering in the affairs of powerful attorneys? But the memory of Katherine's distress lingered in his mind, alongside the smug satisfaction in those junior partners' voices. The tipping point came unexpectedly over dinner with his daughter. Amara was working on a school ethics project and casually remarked that doing the right thing isn't always easy, but that's what makes it matter. In that moment, looking at his daughter's earnest face, Festus knew what he had to do. The next night, he arrived at work early and placed the now-arranged document on Katherine's desk with a simple note explaining where he'd found them and what he'd overheard. He signed it only as night shift, not expecting or wanting recognition. As head of the cleaning staff, he had access to all offices, a privilege he'd never abused until that moment when it mattered most. When Festus arrived for his shift the following evening, the atmosphere in the building felt charged. Security guards spoke in hushed tones, and he passed a junior partner being escorted out, face pale with shock. Festus kept his head down and focused on his tasks, heart pounding with uncertainty. He was cleaning the hallway when Katherine appeared around the corner. Her sharp eyes locked onto him immediately, and she approached with determined steps that echoed against the marble floor. She demanded to know if he was responsible for the documents left on her desk. When he hesitantly admitted the truth, her next question caught him off guard. She wanted to know why he hadn't tried blackmailing her or expecting a reward. After all, those documents were worth millions to certain interested parties. Festus simply explained that not everyone has an ulterior motive. Sometimes people just do what's right because it's right. The look of genuine surprise that crossed Katherine's face spoke volumes about the world she normally inhabited. What happened next would change everything. Katherine revealed the full extent of the situation. She had been building a landmark case against a pharmaceutical giant whose negligence had harmed thousands of families. Several lawyers within her own firm had been secretly bribed to sabotage the case from the inside, destroying critical evidence that would have secured justice for the victims. With Festus's testimony about the conversation he'd overheard, combined with the recovered documents, Katherine successfully presented her evidence. The case made national headlines, exposing both the pharmaceutical company's wrongdoing and the corrupt lawyers who had betrayed their professional ethics. The firm underwent a massive restructuring, with Katherine emerging as the new managing partner. And through it all, she began seeking Festus out during his shifts. First bringing coffee as thanks, then staying to talk about everything from literature to philosophy. Over the 6 months it took for the pharmaceutical case to reach a settlement, these late-night conversations became a ritual both looked forward to. Katherine learned that Festus had once studied business before family responsibilities derailed his education. She saw beyond the janitor's uniform. 3 months after the case concluded, she offered him a position in the firm's administration department. Their unlikely friendship gradually blossomed into something deeper. Two people from entirely different worlds discovered they shared the same core values: integrity, dedication, and courage. The professional lunches eventually became dinner dates. The woman known as the Ice Queen melted in the presence of the humble janitor who had risked everything to do what was right. Life's most meaningful turns rarely announce themselves in advance. For Festus Morgan, accepting a night janitor position had been an act of desperation. He never expected it would lead to a new career, a second chance at love, and the opportunity to make a difference in thousands of lives. Sometimes the most extraordinary journeys begin with the simplest choice to do what's right, even when no one is watching. And what about you? Would you have had the courage to speak up, even if it meant risking everything you had?